All right, welcome to a random video. This one's going to be very, very different from what I usually post, but I hope it'll be valuable. This time I'm actually graciously joined with Mark. Mark, thank you for coming on.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
try my best to give you a good intro. Just let me know if I undersell you or anything like that, right?
It's
Just to get this right. You have a master's degree in AI. You're currently a professor at a university. And on top of that, you've got one of the fastest growing, basically, AI automation agencies that I've seen. And you just came back last week from Dubai for not only do you have the podcast Sleep, which I think most people know you for, but I have so many questions for you.
Cool.
First of all, did I get that intro right? Is it cool?
Yeah, you put the bar here and it should be here, but so far so good. You're good.
Now, one of the first things, or I guess one of the thing that hit me the most when I first started speaking to you, right, was this concept of, you mentioned this was attempt number 43. Is that right or 42?
Yeah, 42 failures up until this point.
I have to ask why, because most people don't even get to attempt number 1, right? Let alone attempt number 10, 20, 30.
Yep.
My main question is, where does that motivation come from, or what's pushing you where you've got to number 41, you're like, no, one more, this will be it. How do you get there?
Sure. So to get to 43, you have to have pretty much an allergy to working for people. So it has to be a very visceral allergy. That's number one. Number two is I always knew that I have the business mind, but no idea what is the best vehicle for that application of what I think I know. So the most recent businesses I started before this were completely outside of my comfort zone. The most recent one was literally a handyman business. And I can barely fix things myself, but I was getting things fixed around the house. And then I had some people, kind of immigrants to this country, working on portions of the house. They're like, we wish we had a way to get like our visa faster. I saw an opportunity and I'm like, you know what? Let's make a handyman business. I'll make it legit. I'll put you guys on payroll, bada boom, bada bing. We started out, invested in the brand, t-shirts, ads, everything. At the beginning, I felt amazing, right? And it feels like everything else because I'm not passionate about it. I'm not good at it. And I have no authority whatsoever on the matter. So a lot of those 42 things before that were pretty much the same. I've done the Shopify thing, started clothing brands. I don't care for clothing. I've sold widgets. I've done consulting for things that I don't necessarily wake up and I'm super passionate about. So it always trickled down to the end product, my lack of passion and my lack of drive. This is the first time that everything is in one place. My passion, my competency, and my authority. So that's kind of a bit
interesting. And what would you say had the biggest impact, if any at all, of the 42 past endeavors? Like, was there something like, oh yes, I use that for this in this business, or was there not really?
No, it is. It's like the biggest analogy that I give to anyone is right now, I feel like I'm living the slumdog millionaire kind of analogy where I will close someone on a call saying the thing that I said in like my 13th failure business to close someone for something completely different. So like when you stack your productive failures, as long as you're always failing, as they say, forward, like you're always going to learn one small thing, nugget. It's going to be transferable to all of business. So that's been super helpful because even though I'm talking about handyman business, I remember getting a door slammed in my face because I said a certain thing a certain way on a call on Zoom. I know that not say that type of thing because that's what happens. So micro learnings is what happens from failures.
Okay, cool. 43 attempts later. And to summarize, the biggest difference between this one, everything that came before it was the passion, right? Regardless of the business side of it, you like this field.
Right. So I wanted to do something that I was researching and building things for free out of pure passion and interest on what's possible with this new AI automation, AI tools, etc. And then when I realized I can actually turn around and sell my services, sell my knowledge, and sell my passion, that was like the trifecta to let me know that this is probably the right moment for me to go after this. And that's why it's working so far and hopefully it continues to work.
I think so. And you mentioned something, I think you've got a huge advantage, obviously, with the degree in AI, right? How much would you attribute that to your success at this level? And do you think that is an important or essential element to somebody looking to get started in this field?
It helped me because of the right place, right time aspect, where I was doing the degree in a time where degrees still held a lot of value. And there was a few avenues to truly learn AI. So I paid an unbelievable amount of money to learn from some of the best in the industry when you couldn't get this knowledge democratized elsewhere. Right now, if you ask me that same thing today, I would never spend like 60 grand on a master's to learn AI, because you can literally go on YouTube. You can literally talk to GPT itself to learn from it. You have so many free resources that
Yep.
I don't think I would have gone that path. It just happened to be that I was obsessed with breaking into AI, because I used to be long time ago in finance. And I remember my third year test for corporate finance. It was a visceral moment. I was at like a coffee shop here in Canada, and I'm like, why am I learning how to do this thing? It's going to get automated 100% in the future. What a waste of my time. So I started buying one AI book, and then 5, and then 10. And then I ended up reading 50. And then from that 50, I was so angry at doing this finance degree I didn't want to do, but I wanted to finish because I started, that I started going to that same coffee shop for 2 years, teaching myself how to code in Python. Every day I'd be there with my notebook, taking notes on how to write code, because I had no knowledge whatsoever. That culminated in being like, okay, what can I build with this? And then I found this AI stream. I'm like, people are starting to hear about AI in 2019, 2018. If I do this thing, I'll help differentiate myself from the crowd, because very few people in the industry actually know how to use AI, let alone what AI is. That's kind of the way it happens.
So in the middle of your finance degree, you saw the opportunity for AI, and this was what year, just kind of put in perspective?
I graduated my degree in 2016. So this was like 2015 probably.
So you've been in this for a while.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you started a month ago or two. Okay. Okay. Fair. And then you learn how to code Python. Do you think that was more well, I see more beneficial in terms of the actual application of it, right? Not like the social proof, but just as far as what has been more useful practically. Do you think is the Python development and learning, or more the AI school structure of it? If that makes sense.
So I would say the answer to that depends on what you end up delivering. If you're trying to end up building something that you deliver to a client, then knowing the language is not essential with all the low code tools, but it helps you. So being good at Python helps me think in a way that everything that's built right now. But if you're just trying to deliver consulting on how companies can use AI, you're not building it yourselves. Having the knowledge part is way more important, because you can always find a developer that is great at Python. You just need to be able to frame the business problem and the requirements of the client in a way that's boxed for the developer to do the thing, then you sell the service.
Okay, cool. Now, what I want to, so switching gears a little bit, right? Now, everybody's seeing how much success you've had, right? By the way, congratulations.
Thank
It's
you,
really, really cool. What I'd love to hear about more, it's especially in the early years of it, right? Because I think that's where most people who are watching this are probably at. And that's where I still consider myself, where it's the hardest part, right? Because once you're on that roll, once the snowball gets big enough, it starts rolling on its own, right? So if anybody out there, if they're, I think the word would be, if they're stuck or they're just getting started, what direction would you point them in? Assuming that they have not a lot of coding experience, maybe they can read a bit of Python, right? But where would you point them in as far as, look, this is where I would start if I was in your position now, today?
For building an AI business, right? Sure.
Yeah.
I'd say like one of the best ways to command authority is to, one, have a list of like 20, 30 tools that you know by industry can help someone immensely in that industry. So I'll dive in a bit deeper.
Sure.
So if you are dealing with SEO, there's AI tools now off the shelf that help you craft articles, blogs, whatever, in 5 minutes, SEO optimized, everything. That's a tool that I would have in my pocket in case anyone hops on the call that cares about SEO. I'd have one tool ready for marketing. I'd have one tool ready for real estate. So that's like baseline. You're not building anything. You just know that there's certain silver bullets per industry. So when someone jumps on the call, you throw them that right away, and that starts to establish, oh, this person really helps me. I never knew this thing existed. Like small seed planted of authority. Next is when you learn about something more advanced, like how do you write the perfect prompt for GPT to let it take an input and give you a perfect output. Second layer of authority. Third layer is now where you start to like finesse, like new softwares that are coming out and techniques to use those softwares together. Let's say Zapier plus a couple AI tools in an orchestra. Third level of authority. Now this is where you're getting to custom solutions. Now when you get to the next level, this is full custom, where like you've already explained top, bottom, top, what you know, and now they're willing to trust you to talk about what this custom thing might look like. But you can't talk about custom if you don't know, one, how it would be built, what technology would be used, and how long it would take to build that thing. So you need to like go from ground up to understand, we need to understand to sell that custom thing.
You know, I think the reason people, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the reason why people are so obsessed or so focused on getting those custom codes is because those are usually the ones that are the highest paid, right? Those are where the big money are. So it's hard to let your ego to the side for a little bit and say, look, I'm going to start at the bottom, right? Let's help people out. Let's be like you mentioned, the silver bullet, like a map. I'm looking for this tool. Okay, that can help you with that, like consulting, right? And then you work your way up. But I think a lot of people don't have the patience maybe, or is it patience, or do you think it's something else?
I think it's lack of maturity from a business standpoint.
Interesting.
So everyone wants to make the sale until you make the sale. And then you realize that you have to deliver in a month. And then you realize you have no idea how you're going to deliver that, let alone if you do deliver it, how it will be in a standard that when the client looks at it, they say, wow. Because if it's anything less than wow, then maybe you made that 3K. It's going to be exhausting to make that 3K 100 times. It's going to be way better when you wow them. And it's such a good wow that one, they want to talk about the next project. And two, they want to tell their colleague about you. And now you start to exponentially grow without investing any outbound, any marketing, any Facebook ads. It's more so the scariest part of this process is when you actually are successful to make the sale. Because now you have to own up to delivering the thing that you promised that you could do. So you could lie to someone nonstop and promise everything, promise them the world. When you actually get that invoice, that is where my biggest anxiety happens, when I actually get the invoice signed. Because now I actually have to back up what I said for the past 2 calls or my lead magnet, that kind of thing.
Where do you think people make, especially the beginners, where they make the mistake the most? Is there anything you've noticed in particular, like across this field? Oh, maybe they should have waited longer. Maybe they're taking too much from the start. They're trying to go too high, or is it something else? If anything,
multiple answers I can give to that. But one I would give is, don't look for a silver bullet that you think is going to be your winner for everything.
Okay.
So like whatever has the most YouTube videos is likely the already most saturated lead magnet. So right now, if you go on YouTube and put chatbots, right, you'll find Liam Motley stuff. You'll find tons of other people's stuff. You'll find even vendors like VoiceFlow and Bob Press having their own videos for you. So when something is so well documented now and so democratized that any single person in the world can make it, probably not going to be your silver bullet. So if there's a lot of YouTube videos about the thing, most likely the thing is doable at a cheaper price and is known about by many people.
Interesting. And okay. Now, taking that, I guess the next question would be, okay, well, if I shouldn't focus on what is already popular now, right? Where would be the future? Now, I know when Liam Mountain's video, you had mentioned security was a big thing for you, right? Like you want to get into data and make sure but that's quite advanced to my knowledge, right? Getting into that field. So for people who are maybe a little less still beginners, where do you see the next part that maybe isn't as saturated right now? And there's a huge opportunity to be made to become the next Liam Evans, Liam Ali, the next Mark. Where is that? Where is that sector?
No, Mark's nobody, right?
Ah, come on.
So you can't scale a business very easily doing custom all the time. Ideally, you do the custom thing 2 or 3 times, but then you start to find a way to productize that custom thing. I'll give you a very basic example. Let's say you have a real estate company approach you and they want you to build this web application that they upload all of their pictures of their listings. Then you have an AI create a listing for them. And then now that gets packaged as this lead magnet and helps them write this email. If you do that, you'll probably spend a month and a half building it. Let's assume it's good. Right? What I would do, so take everything you just built and find a way to make it generalizable. So, okay, in real estate, it's listings. In marketing, what would that be? Okay, maybe it would be ad copy. In this domain, it would be that. In finance, it would be uploading prospectuses of companies that are public, maybe try to analyze them in some way. Try to use something you've already built and productize it in a way that you can sell in mass. That's where you hit less walls. If you go the custom route, you're going to get into a lot of the difficulties that I faced getting to where I am right now. And they are still the biggest difficulties I'm looking at as where do I go from here?
Okay. I think a big issue, especially in the beginning, is always the sales part of it, right? How can I sell something? How can I, with conviction, sell something, especially if this is like you said, if I'm doing a custom solution, well, by the nature of it, it's a custom solution. So I've never done it. So how would you approach, and I know a lot of your stuff is inbound, right? But how would you approach a conversation with somebody as a beginner if you've never built what you're saying you're building them? Or what are some of the things you might use to instill confidence, not only in the prospect, but within yourself that you can actually deliver this? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Step 1, You never want to promise something you have no idea how you'd build. Is it a recipe for disaster? I can give you a visceral example. In month 4, where I closed my first 10K deal, and I was over the moon, and I was telling my friends, and I was so excited. I'm like, oh, this is my moment. And then I started shopping around for devs to build me the thing. And they were basically calling me an imbecile because that 10K thing is actually $19,000 to $20,000 just of development cost. And I'd go everywhere. I even tried to get outsourced to Pakistan or to India or whatever. It would be like 18,000, 16,000. So the price that I quoted, that I thought I was a savage for pulling off, I had no idea what I had just sold. And then what I had to end up doing is I had to refund that client a month and a half later, after me having hours of conversations begging people to help me fulfill the thing. So that taught me a really valuable lesson. And that's someone, again, that has knowledge in AI and knows how to build things. And yet for this thing, I was out of my element. So never sell something you don't even have the faintest idea of how you deliver. Now, let's assume you know enough that you're selling something you haven't built, but in your head, you can already think and piece together which Legos can you stack to build that thing. Go for it. As long as you have enough experience building something even related, they can say with authority to yourself, first of all, and then the client, I can do this, and here's how we would build it. The average person that's selling, and they can't tell you how it would be built, and they can't handle objections, meaning like, oh, we don't actually use this CRM, we use that CRM. If you freeze in that question because you have no idea how you would change that thing that you only know one way, it's not a recipe for success.
Okay, interesting. So to summarize, I guess would be, if you cannot simply explain it to yourself, don't sell it.
Or do it.
Fair. Yeah, right. What do you think has been the biggest, you know what, actually, before I get onto that question, the fact that you had to got the biggest deal ever, right? For, at least at that time, 10,000.
Yeah.
You just had to refund it.
Yep.
That moment right there, because you could have stopped. Oh, I think a lot of people would have stopped, right? Because you work so hard. I think everybody can relate to this, where you try to get that deal, you try to close so hard after months, and it doesn't work, and then you finally get in, then you have to refund. But you didn't stop. You continue. Why? What is it inside you that pushes you so hard to still continue even out? Because these are like, I don't consider them failures, right?
That's fair.
But they're just mentally, they're draining, right?
Yeah, that took a huge blow to my morale.
Yeah.
Because I was still a solopreneur. Right now I have like a team of 5. I'm hiring for another 3 people at Prompt Advisors. But right now, at this point, I was alone.
Yeah.
And I remember like going to my wife and be like, I have to refund this. And then she's just like, there's nothing you can do. Cause like, obviously she doesn't know like the ins and outs of it. I felt like a real failure and a sham. Okay. So at that point, the thing that I hung my hat on is that there was someone willing to pay me $10,000 to build this thing. And they took less than a day to decide and pull the trigger. Imagine if I actually was able to deliver something for 10K and all I did is just close 10 of them. I would make 100K top line, which is my goal by the end of the year. Yeah. Right now I'm like 57K with 10K in the pipe right now, hoping to close that. But that's how easy it could be if I knew what I was doing. And if I had a developer and I changed my process. So I was more so inspired. What if I wasn't a degenerate and sold the thing that I couldn't build? And I actually first spoke to a dev, got their price, understood the feasibility of the thing. And then I just put my markup on top of it, knowing that they could deliver. And now I'd feel at peace. And I'd be able to sell that 10K thing all over again. But this time, I'm paying 6K in dev costs. I'm making 4K myself. They're smart enough and they're good enough to build the thing for me. And I'm just doing the selling. That would work. So I had to reflect on, was it the fact that I'm so bad at business, which totally was my thought for a long time. Or was it the fact that I just did the order wrong? I sold the thing before I verified what it would take to build the thing.
That's a very logical way of thinking, right? And I think that's what surprises me the most, because I think most people would go at it from an emotional standpoint where you're crushed, right? You have these hopes that are so high, and then you basically fell off a cliff when you were at the highest peak. Now, my question is, was this something that you learned over the years, or were you always somebody who just, whatever happened, you would get hit, but you get back up?
So it's a bit of both, because like for me to walk away from a total quote failure project, it means that I walked away because I thought that there's nothing else that I could do to make it a success. So that part, I'm not going to glorify myself. I have walked away from many things because I tried hard for a short amount of time. And I just realized, because I also have no passion in it, that what am I doing with my time? I keep failing. I don't actually care about the thing. So I'm trying hard because I really want to be an entrepreneur so bad, but I'm doing it the wrong way. So I quit the thing, regroup. What's the next thing I could try that maybe I'm good at, have a passion for, and have authority? Those are my 3 things I keep repeating every single time. So with this endeavor, it's like, no, I studied AI for like 7 years. I worked in AI. I know this stuff. I know someone's willing to pay me for it if I package it properly, if I can deliver. So it's more so like, because it met that trifecta, I'm refusing to give up, because it's the first time I actually feel like I have something to offer of value. Every other time I was forcing value. Hey, do you want something fixed? You don't know that I'm actually a degenerate at fixing things, but I'm selling you that I can fix the thing for you. In this case, I genuinely think that I can help many people. I just have to figure out what is the right vehicle and format for what that thing is.
Okay. Would you say it would be a fair assessment to say you went from selling to providing solutions? Is that the difference? Like mentally, where the difference, or where the deviation, I guess, from everything else, right? Because before it was just about, how can I make a buck? How can I make dollars? I'll do Shopify. I'll do
Correct.
I'll do website, whatever it is that you want. I'll just need to make money. But now it's just, I really like using AI and doing it, and I just happen to make money at the same time because this is providing value. Interesting.
Yeah. So it's more so like, in this AI space, what do I care about? What would I build if no one paid me to build it? Okay, now that I build that thing, who would want to buy it? And what would it take for me to productize it in a way that someone would want to buy it?
Okay.
Much more easy equation, because if no one buys it, I'm still happy that I did the thing. Right? I'm still getting fulfillment from doing the thing. So it's like a win-win scenario. Obviously, the winning with someone paying you is the one we're all after.
Right.
But that's how I kind of looked at it finally, logically, versus 90% of the time is all emotional. My God, I only sold 8 sweaters this month. I only did this month. Like, it was always metrics based and money based, and not passion based and intellect based.
Now you're doing it for the sport of doing it. You genuinely like working in this field.
The game.
Right. Fair. Okay, cool. Now, as far as passion goes, because I think I've seen this debate a lot online about, follow your passions. From what it sounds of it, it sounds like you're passionate about AI, right? Now, is that something that was developed along your journey of learning AI, or were it's just something that clicked immediately?
I think it goes back to that story I gave you on that corporate finance night. At that point, I started looking at everything manual that happens in the world. And I'm like, there's no way in 10 years it's going to be done in this way. So I could say that was very biased towards me in terms of a deep rooted passion. Because I'm pro efficiency and I'm anti manual work. That's one of the reasons why I love entrepreneurship. It's like, I can control those things. So when it comes to like someone else that maybe wasn't quote unquote passionate about it until they realized they can make money with it, I would say most of us have multiple passions. Look for the passion that happens to have some form of supply in the market. And it'll be easier that way.
That's the first time I've heard that. I've never heard that. Okay. Now, everybody sees where you are, and you're obviously a visionary. You have big goals for the future, right? And I mean that. I'd love to hear, where do you see this going for yourself? First of all, I know we spoke about what the future is for other people, but as far as your company, as far as Prompt Advisor, as far as Mark goes, what does that look like in a year from now, 2 years from now? You even take it 5, 10 years from now. Where do you think the future lies?
Sure. So what's cool about how I plan my business is when I have my Fiverr as my vehicle for inbound, it always gives me international exposure. Right. So in a few months, I'm going to actually go travel someone in Switzerland that I've been working on Fiverr for like the last 6 months. I'm always going to have that. What I want to do is I want to start to actually take over the small cities in terms of being the name of the game. So we're in Ottawa right now. If you Google anything in Ottawa in terms of AI solutions, you'll find nothing. I want to be the person that when you Google that in Ottawa, there's like a 5-star Google page. And then I want to move on to Montreal. And then I want to move on to Toronto. So when you Google that, I'm in the top 5. And then I want to really start investing in things that are completely out of the ordinary. Like, I even had the idea that I'm going to buy bus ads on the most busy buses in downtown traffic in Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa, and literally have a tagline like, let me help automate your job. And like something that's like provocative. So where do I see it going from here is I want to start conquering local while I still have my international exposure through Fiverr. I want to build that vehicle because, in Ottawa, in Montreal, in Toronto, those corporate clients want that face-to-face handshake or a coffee shop meeting, not even a Zoom meeting. Because if they're going to spend 20, 30, what I hope to be eventually $50,000 contracts, shaking hands, talking about it in person is way easier. So I want to build my HQ here. And obviously I want to also move to Dubai and build some notoriety there. But in Dubai, there's so much innovation and AI happening. I want to conquer the small areas where people have money, governments have tons of money, and are willing to invest in it. So I'm thinking really big in terms of where I'm going. But in thinking big, I'm also thinking small. I'm thinking conquering local while still servicing international.
Surgical.
Yeah.
Interesting. Really cool. Some more questions. Now, let's say starting from a blank slate. Somebody brings this. If you were to point in the direction of, hey, I want to start my own AAA agency. I want to start my own AA. Where would you point them? Are you going go marketing? Are you going go learn sales? Are you going go learn development? Or a little bit of all three? Where's your mind at as far as somebody who's just getting started?
Curveball answer.
Go for it.
Master every function in GPT. From advanced data analysis to normal prompting to DALL-E 3, which just came out. Plugins. I think I'm missing one. But master how to use every single one of those tools. Once you master that, and you know the ins and outs, you now have your conversation starter and lead magnet. The average person that has no idea about AI, but comes to me saying, I want to spend $15K to build this thing. When I talk to them about what they could already do using GPT to do that thing, 1, I build trust. 2, I show authority. 3, I give them value that they can action at the end of the call because GPT is already there. It's more so how do you tap into the value of it? So when people walk away from my discovery calls with already 2 to 3 hours saved, I've already given them so much for free. So now they want to come and build the app, even though they can do somewhat of the same thing, just out of respect for me telling them, don't build the app. Here's what you can do in GPT. So master off-the-shelf technologies. Now, step 1. I use GPT because it's so generalizable. I literally have clients every day come to me from every industry saying, can you help me optimize this prompt? I'm trying to use this function in plugins. I'm trying to can I make images for my advertising agency in DALL-E 3? Just be good at everything. And then that is the most generalizable weapon for every industry. And when you try to become good at prompts, you're gonna have to force yourself to learn why is one prompt good versus another bad. And then that will be a gateway drug to learning about the AI version of why, when you write something in a certain way, does the AI like it versus not like it? When you have something that's like 3 pages long, why is it not as good as something this succinct, but very to the point? You will learn and you'll become an expert of the space and you'll be valuable to everyone from day one if you master all of these things.
That's amazing. I think the generalized business model, I think a lot of people, especially in the AAA game, they're coming from, SMMA, social media marketing, that sort of thing, right? Where the main things are marketing, sales, advertising, that sort of thing. So, but just seeing your answer is something that's, like you said, curveball, right? I think that ability that you have of thinking of new ideas on the spot is a big part of what attributes to a big part of what I attribute to your success. And last question for you, Mark. Thanks for this. Anybody who's watching this, they obviously, if they're a developer, even if they just want to learn from you, right? They want to learn from you and they can see all the value to provide. Where can they find you? What do you got going on? Where can I talk to Mark?
Sure, no worries. So, like I said, I run a company called Prompt Advisors. So you go on promptadvisors.com, you'll find the In Construction website. We can still get my contact info from there. I have Prompt Advisors at Twitter, the same account. I'll be building a YouTube channel.
I'm waiting for it
because of Taha's perfect advice to actually do so. So I want to actually be cranking that out. And then most importantly, I'm going to be coming out with 5 books on AI and marketing, e-commerce, HR, law, and then tons of free content in the next 10 days on my website. So that's what I'm really focusing on right now to build that solid lead magnet base. So now I can actually start doing cold outbound on top of my already inbound and start to go exponential, hopefully.
Cool. And that newsletter thing, is that still happening?
Yeah. So Beyond Bots newsletter. That's been starting up November 15th too. So that's like a very big day for me, November 15th. I'm going to restart my new newsletter. All these lead magnets are going to come out and offer a free 2 to 3 hour course on how to use GPT end to end. And we'll see what happens from there.
Mark, thank you. This has been amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, This was Mark from Prompt Advisors. If you have any questions, you'll know where to find them. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Thank you.